Smoke, baby.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another one. We are here with Lone Bow Hunter. What I want to talk about today is, number one, how the good folks at Barronett were gracious enough to send me an awesome blind. A lot of you guys know this blind's been around for a long time, for a while now, I'd say. Not a long time, but for quite a while now. But there's some new things about it. Barronett makes the best blind, hands down, in my opinion. They don't pay me to say that, that's just a fact. Ox 5. It's got a new crater core camo, and they're actually doing a ox hide, they call it. It's a double layer fabric. It's high definition on the camo part, and then it's a reinforced, kind of lets it stretch a little, but keeps it tight for no sunlight fabric type. You know, I don't know the specialties of it, but it's a reinforced type fabric, and it really holds this blind together well. It's a hub style blind, 5-sided. It's made for 4 people. 2 hunters, let me back up, 2 archery hunters and a cameraman can get in this thing and hunt all day long and absolutely have plenty of room. I've had 3 of us in the blind multiple days hunting for, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time, and we've all been comfortable. I hunt them solo a lot of times. I can get my tripod, all my camera gear, everything right there, my bow, and sit there in my big chair, and be comfortably all day. So I want to set this blind up today, and I'm going to modify it and show you how I do little things that I think help increase your accuracy, up your percentage of a shot, of a successful shot, I should say. The little things that make the big things matter. Stay with me, guys. We'll set this blind up, and I'll show you my modifications. Well, there you have it, guys. Literally from out of the box, it's set up in 3 minutes, nothing to it. But let's dive in. I really do like this crater core camo. Barronett makes such a wonderful blind. They were gracious enough to send me this, and I'm extremely pleased with it. I've been using the Ox 5 for quite a few seasons now. I'm excited to have this new crater camo on one. This is going to work wonderfully this fall. Trying to do some deer hunting out of it. It's really going to work. So let's dive in on how to make this a better blind for an archer. So let's do it. First thing you're going to need is some coffee creamer from Coffee. No, I'm just playing. This is just something to keep everything together for me. My dog's not grabbing something if it falls out laying on the ground. So I just stuck them in here. You're going to need a sharp knife, a pair of scissors, something. You can use foam, double tape, whatever. I like the cushions, the stick-on cushions you put on the bottom of furniture so they'll slide on your hardwood. That's all that is. I've got a few of them left over from other stuff, and I use them for part of this. You need some electric tape or some black duct tape, any of that, sharp knife. And then you need some hockey tape or like medical tape that's got the stretchy to it, it sticks to itself. You need some of that. And that is a flat black. I use that to cover anything we cover with this electric, because you don't want nothing shining in the woods. Electric tape, duct tape has a gloss finish. That ain't no good. You want that flat color. All right, guys, let's go in and see about it. All right, guys, first thing we want to do now that we're in here is get some windows open, man. It is hot. I feel like Jim Carrey coming out of the Rhino. You older guys, you know what I mean. Whenever you're in a hunting situation, you generally will have this all closed, have these up, and if the deer are going to be coming through here, you'll have one of these openings open with the rest pulled up close, because you have to keep it dark as possible back in there. You have to keep it dark so you can get away with your movement, getting drawn, panning with the camera, whatever. You've got to be dark, and it helps tremendously keeping your ground scent from being smelled when you're enclosed like that. It's got to help you. But here's my concern. That moment of truth, this big bulky rod right here, I mean, that's, you know, you're going almost 2-inch gap here in places, and if that buck is out there 20 yards and he's, you know, money shots right here, well, excuse me, dog, I'm trying to film here, buddy. I know it's hot, get on. But this could play an issue with your arrow tipping, or you guys that like to do the decapitating turkey head, turkey broadheads. You know, they stick out 3 inches, 3+ inches sometimes. If a blade nicks that, you know, your shot's over. So we're gonna make this a lot smaller. I'm gonna show you how. And I get rid of the camo netting. I don't need it. I'm either gonna have it up blocking me or I'm not. That camo netting lets light in and I just don't use it. So let's narrow these down. And also, let's show you about the hub assembly. I want you to see them. These hubs, when you close them, you know, that's how they work. They pop in. Did you hear that? Hear all that? That little bit of racket. You can try to go slow, but you see, you still get it. This is where our trusty coffee can comes into play. I'll show you guys. First thing we'll do is quiet these hubs down. Here's your hub. It pivots. Each one of these carbon rods is what pushes out on your blind. Right down in there, they touch. And that's where you get your popping at. They got the plastic receivers in there, hard plastic to protect them. But that's where your pop comes. Is I will take my knife and I will cut me a strip like this, and then look, what I'll do is I'll shove that padding down in there real good. You gotta push it in the, you know, closed position to get this gap. I'll stick it right there. I'll cut you blind. Let me set the camera down. And I'll cut that. Then I pull it back out. And I will try not to lose it. And this stuff has got sticky on one side of it. So I'll peel that sticky off. And then I'll gently take my knife and I will shove it back down in there flat and then push. Once you get it in there and push, well, now that's stuck to this side and you've got a cushion there. So every time you go back and forth, it won't pop. It's still doing it because I've got 3 more to go. So stay with me, guys. I'm gonna put them in those and then we'll see how it gets. All right, guys, so I've got my first one done. Now listen to this. That's unzipped and all you're hearing zipper butt. See how we took that pop out of it? Whereas this one, you hear that? All that rattling? You don't have that rattling no more. It's got that cushion in it and it'll stay there. It makes it a little easier on opening too. I mean, with that little bit of padding hitting. It's not much, but it helps. All right, guys, I'm gonna knock out the rest of these last 4 hubs, and then we'll move on to our shooting windows. Stay tuned. Now that we've got all our hubs quieted down, next step's getting this camouflage netting out of the way. Now, you don't want to go to cutting on this stuff. It is replaceable. At least the older models were. I believe these are too, yeah. So, you never know when you can use a good camo netting, and they have these pre-made loops on them here. Let's get this camera right. They got these loops here. Those may come in handy for, you know, a different type blind or something. So you never know. You may put them on a box blind up in a tree, up in the air, run around your ladder stand. So they're all hooked in here through a little receiver latch. So I just undo that. And I'm gonna run them all down. Now it's my netting's off. I'm gonna go back through here and hook it back in, because this is important. You don't want it just, you know, sliding around. Plus it helps keep a little tension. Boy, that thing don't want to go that way, does it? It helps a little rigidity on your blind. So it's important you latch that back on, and I'll actually tape that up right there so it can't ever work loose. All right, stay with me, guys. I'm gonna finish getting this netting off and we'll move to the next step. Okay, guys, now that our camo is safely took out and all our tie-ins are back together and tight, next step is tags. You don't want anything white back here shining. You know, some guys may say it's overkill, woo woo woo, but anything that the sun can reflect off of like that can get you in trouble. Say you're sitting here and you're filming, and that's another thing. If you're filming, you don't want your autofocus catching on this big tube right here. And it also is an opportunity. I know it's not much, but you seriously, your arrow could hit that in a moment of truth sitting there watching that deer. I would rather take this from 1.5 inch, 2-inch rod down to a 1/2 inch. Let me get the camera situated and I'll show you. Now, I'm gonna show you guys. See how big this is? It would be nice if it was down to this right here. So you're going from all this to this little rod right here. But you can't start cutting on it yet. because if you cut it, you're going to lose your strength. So we've got to tie it in together right here, real tight and real tight up here. And then we're going to cut out the center where we'll be shooting at. So remember, don't just start whacking this off, because this is your strength. You got to have this for these cables to run in, or these rods. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Right here, we're going to make sure we're together. As tight as can be. What I'm going to do is take some good electric tape right here, and we're going to tie this to this. You want that really tight. So there's no way that ever comes off that pole, you know. That gives you your strength holding that. You gotta have it. It's important you do this, or you will ruin your blind. Now, let's come up here and do this top one the same way. Make sure contact is on your electric tape, is on your pole. Pull that tape. Make sure you're getting that just tight as you can. And I like to do about 4 to 6 inches of electric tape. That way I know this sucker's got its strength. And then I'll go back around a couple times. And that way that rod can't come out of that sleeve. It's holding tight to material here. And we're not going to lose rigidity. Now, remember, we're tied off here. Let's see, I've got this thing tight. And we're tied off here good. Now we can take this big loop, this big all gaudy strap, we can get this out of our way, and it makes it so much cleaner for self-filming. I'm telling you guys, it's going to help when it comes time to shoot that deer or that turkey. Get in behind right here. And now, just very carefully, don't cut your pole. See, I come up a little higher, but that's all right. And see, you're getting rid of all this material. Be very easy. And don't cut your blind. I usually use a razor. I'm gonna cut away from my blind here. And see, you're getting all this off here. And now you get this nice, clean look here. We're not done by any means, but that's a start to help let you see what you're shooting against. It makes a world of difference, that compared to that, in my opinion. All right, so next step is finishing off these ends right here. We want to go ahead and tape that end up, but we're going to get that with our flat color, like medical tape. We're going to use this to wrap these ends and this pole, because as you can tell, this pole is real shiny. Let's get this tape on and see how much better it's going to look. I'm just working one layer up through there, keeping it tight. And I get right there where we tied together, go a couple rounds. Make sure you stick that back on itself. And now you can see you've got this narrow, this fine, narrow, flat look to this big, thick look. World of difference, guys. Hope you guys can tell the difference between that big, gaudy thing and that. See, that's a good flat color. Nothing shines on it. This is flat as well. It's just too wide. And you guys that sell film, you know as well as me, if you've got your aperture and everything set at a certain spot, or you're running on auto and you're panning and that buck works across and you got to nudge it and get on him, how that, if you're too close to something that wide, your autofocus could focus on that strip right there instead of focusing on the animal. This narrow, it's going to be harder for it to pick up. You're going to have your camera zeroed in on that post for it to focus in on that. So that right there gives you a good matte finish, and it's less chance of an arrow when you go to shoot hitting that. I mean, it's not a lot, but a little is a lot in archery. Every little thing has to go right for that big thing to work out. And this, to me, is just one of those little things that I can control, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish getting all these rods wrapped in this flat tape, and I'll show you what it looks like completed, and then we'll call it a day. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, see how cleaner that is? If you're tucked in back in there, you have all that closed, it's nice and dark. It really opens you up instead of that gap. I mean, I really enjoy doing that. Not to mention, you know, we're quieter, we got our strength. Hear that? You can set this thing up in the dark. Everything will be quiet. You don't have that kaboom when, because she's coming out like this right here. And I can tell this texture's even thicker than my older model. That ox hide is some pretty tough stuff. It's waterproof. I mean, I have hunted in a downpour come upon me in the spring turkey hunting, and I just stay in there and stay dry as can be and ride out the storm. And you know, a lot of blinds, they won't hold up to the moisture, but these do. They do well. Doing this, everything's just like it come from the factory. Everything's still tied in. It just gives you a bigger shot to open, because you know, when you have to close up in there, a lot of times, like me, I generally use this one or this one, these two holes. It's usually this big hole and this hole, or this big hole and this hole, and the rest is closed up. So a lot of times I've only got, you know, I've only got a 2-foot window to shoot out of, and the rest is closed up, and I'm sitting there in the dark. You're sitting there full draw waiting on that perfect shot opportunity. The last thing you need to worry about is hitting something that's sticking out 2 inches more than it should be. At least when you cut it down to that 1/2 inch, you're way better odds of not hitting that and messing your shot up. So I like it, man. There's just multiple advantages to it, and it quiets it down, and I can sneak in, set that blind up in the dark rather quietly, and I mean, in and out. I mean, you can slip in, have that thing set up, and be ready to hunt in 10 minutes with all your stuff. I mean, you can have it set up and staked off in 3 to 5 minutes. One man by himself. 2 guys, it's like a breeze. So check it out, guys. That's the Ox 5. It's just a little tip from me on how I do it. I really, you know, I've said it once already in this video. I'll say it again. The little things add up to the big things, man. You don't have to do it. You can. There's guys I know that have never done that to the Ox 5, and they kill their deer and turkey all the time every year and hadn't had a problem, you know. But I know guys that has caused problems. So just a little how-to, little quick tip, y'all, for the Ox 5. Don't forget, check out Barronett blinds if you're interested in one. They've got 15% off right now at RACK15 is the code. Tell them Lone Bow Hunter sent you. Check it out, guys. Smash that subscribe. We got a lot coming down the pipe this fall. Appreciate it. See you guys on the next one. Peace.